Monday's Metcon. You guys are going to start out with a part 1 and then go into a part 2. So part 1 is going to be 3 minutes max meters on the rower. Let's go over some points of performance on the rower. Common ones that we go over all the time. Straps. The straps want to be so that they fall where your big toe meets your foot. Hands should be outside the handles. And damper setting, there's a lot you can do with damper setting, but most people should be between 5 and 8 somewhere in there for the row. For the row, make sure you guys are staying nice and tall with your back. It's essentially a deadlift over and over. Your focus is really driving with as much power with your hips. When you hit full extension, you're simply finishing with the upper body and arms. When you come back into that catch, there should be no chain whip, and your movement pattern should be just the opposite of when you came back. So when I push back, I'm extending my knees and then leaning back, pulling my arms in, and the arms are going to go straight immediately because that was the last thing that happened. After that, you're going to go into a body over position, we call it, where you're nice and tall, and then you're actually going to bend those knees. So what we don't want to see is all of your joints moving at once. If we break this movement pattern down, it's extension of the knees, extension at the hips, and then bending the arms, and then it's reversed. Arms go straight, body pivots over into the body over position, and then the knees bend and come into that catch position. Following that movement pattern and having that good setup is like setting up for a good deadlift. And like I said, there should be no chain whip. If you guys have a graph on here, you can actually see what's called your power curve. Your power curve should be a nice smooth haystack. Sarah had it up on the board the other day. I'm going to encourage her to try to remember to get it up there for you guys to see again. But there's a power curve screen on there. It's the second button down on the right hand side, and when you row, you'll see a curve come up after your first pull, and it'll indicate if you have the proper movement pattern. So just to show you a couple of repetitions on the rower, nice tall flat back, and I'm going to take my time setting up. It's more important to drive back with a lot of power rather than moving back and forth with a lot of speed. So think about that when you guys row. Again, it's going to be a 3-minute maximum row for meters, so get your meters when you get done. And then just to go over cleaning detail, we're going to have the rag pre-sprayed down. You're going to start by cleaning off your seat. Then you're going to clean these straps that you touched, basically anything you put your hands on, the little tabs on the side. And then lastly, so that we know the rower was clean, we're going to wipe these handles down and put the handle up and away so the next person knows that it was cleaned thoroughly. And then as we've been going over the screen, just give a light brush over the top of the buttons that you touch so it's all sanitized, okay? When you finish with that, you're gonna head downstairs for part 2. So we give you a 2-minute transition from your max meter row to wipe everything down and to get down to your setup downstairs. Your setup downstairs is gonna be deadlift, V-ups, and plyo lunges. This is gonna be an 8-minute up ladder. Your deadlifts and V-ups are going up by 1, and your plyo lunges will go up by 2. So the weight for some of you is going to feel fairly light, but it's going to get kind of heavy as you guys progress through this. So again, keep a flat back, all points of performance. The coaches will keep an eye on you, but make sure you guys keep yourself in check. Don't just grab that barbell and try to rip it off the ground. So deadlifts, we went over points of performance in the strength portion, and your V-ups. So V-ups are going to get down onto your mat, get full extension of your arms touching out over your head, and try to rebound up into each one of your reps rather than resting down here and relaxing. When you go to do them, try to do them one into the other, keeping the legs nice and straight. Full range of motion is going to be heels to ground, hands to ground, and fingertips to your toes. After that, your plyo lunges are going to go up by double. So if you do 1 deadlift and 1 V-up, you're going to do 2 plyo lunges. When you get to 2 deadlifts and 2 V-ups, you'll do 4 plyo lunges. Points of performance for the plyo lunge. You should start with your feet together, and when you jump down into that first one, that's going to be your first plyo lunge. And then notice on my last one, I'm going to jump back to my start position. So I'll show you what I want it to look like, and then I'll show you what I don't want it to look like. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and finish to here. What I don't want to see is kind of this kind of stepping down into it and then getting going and then kind of recovering to here. Finish with that final jump out and, start with that jump out and finish with that jump in at the end. So For this Metcon, the 8-minute up ladder, your heart rate is really high through here, or should be. And then heart rate comes down for the 2 minutes. Grinstead and I, when we tested the WOD, were actually surprised with these fairly simple movements of how high our heart rate came back up. Definitely push yourself in these first rounds, but I'm curious to see how you guys do and what happens to those heart rates in this Metcon. Have a good workout.